Well, is Civil War coming? That's what I want to talk about. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? Hope you're well. So I get up this morning and I got a message from somebody asking me whether this decision in Colorado to keep Trump off the ballot may lead to civil war. Interesting situation. So apparently, and I just skimmed it. The Colorado Supreme Court in a majority but split decision, 4-3, I believe, all Democrat majority ruled, and they kind of overturned. That's too much into the weeds to get into that. Anyway, they have decided, and they have ruled that Trump can't be on the Colorado primary ticket as a result of what they maintain is violation of the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which is the insurrection clause. Okay, excuse me, let me take this. Total BS. Total BS. And it'll be fought. It'll be fought out. They'll take it to the Supreme Court immediately. The Supreme Court will expedite it. They'll get it taken care of, and they will rule in Trump's favor. I have no doubt. Here's the interesting thing, though. And here is the question, is will this lead to civil war? First off, most people, this could lead to a repeat of what many people refer to as the Civil War. Okay, that wasn't a civil war, and people need to understand. A civil war is when you have two sides fighting for the control of the same government. Okay, the first one that they call the Civil War, and I go into detail in this in my books. I'll show my books in a minute, but I want to get this taken care of. I cover this in detail in those books. The southern states seceded from the United States, which was their constitutional right. Many people will argue with that, but they're wrong. As a matter of fact, even Antonin Scalia argued against that. He said that the question of the constitutionality of secession was decided by the Civil War. That is the most ignorant, imbecilic argument. He lays out three things. I don't have time to lay them out here. I did lay them out in detail in one of my books, because as much as I liked Scalia, for the most part, they hold him up to be this great godlike character of conservatism. He wasn't necessarily all that. In some ways he was, some ways he wasn't. But this was the most ridiculous argument that he made that could have been beaten by a first-year law student, I would think. Okay? So it has not. Their right to secede was constitutional. I don't care who argues with it. And that's what they did. The southern states decided, finally, that the many different things, laws, tariffs, it was not all about slavery. Slavery was included in it, okay, as a part of property rights. And I know that's just going to get people all upset about that. Well, at the time, slaves were considered property. It's bad, but that's the way it was. And so were the 1 million slaves in the North. Anybody, you knew about that if you read my books too. 1 million slaves in the North. Okay. No, nobody talks about those. But it was all about the South, those Southern people. Well, a lot of things. The industrialized North was making things really hard on the more agrarian, agricultural South. Okay, to put it simply, the Southern states said, "Hey, you're not treating us right. We're gone." And so they seceded. They separated themselves from the Union. They didn't attack the Union. They didn't do anything like this. They seceded from the Union. Okay. As a result of that, the North, and here's where, again, I get into this in detail in my books, where it started at the first shots at Fort Sumter. Even though the first shots were fired by a battery manned by a unit from the Citadel against a northern supply ship coming in to resupply the Fort Sumter there. It was a trick that the North perpetuated. They went back on their word. They said they were not going to resupply it. The South said, I know this is getting more history than most of you want, but some of you will find it interesting. And in order to understand this, you have to understand the details of certain things. The North said, we will not supply, or the South said, if you try to resupply it, we will resupply Fort Sumter until the date and time that you have agreed to leave. But if you try to resupply it, we will consider that an act of war. The North tried to resupply it under subterfuge. The South, the Citadel cadets saw it, fired on them, and there we go, bang. So it was not the South trying to take over or lead an insurrection against the North. They simply said it was like a divorce. Okay? We're no longer a part of this. We're being abused, and we're leaving. Okay, and it was the North then that started hostilities and invaded and started that war. So it was not a civil war at all. It was that's why they call it the War of Northern Aggression. It was an attack by the federal government of the United States, the North, against sovereign states, which is essentially a separate country of the Confederate States of America. So the United States of America attacked the Confederate States of America. That's what it was. It wasn't a civil war. Now that we have that out of the way, and if you want to read all about it, I should put up here. I explain this in detail in my books, I think in maybe the third one or the fourth one, I forget which, in my books of the Stonemount series, The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and the Hostages to Fortune. I'll do the little commercial now before I talk about whether we're going to get into a civil war here. This, I say, is a complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a collapse of everything. If you're serious about preparing, or if you just like a good story and you haven't read these, you're going to love them. They're available either through Amazon. First one came out in 2017, and they've been selling like hotcakes ever since. Just a couple of days ago, it set a new record, a recent record. So, and they're available through Amazon. I'll put the link down below. You can also get them directly from me if you want to order them through our website, stonemont.us. And then I get to sign them for you, and I love doing that because I love the relationship with my readers, just like I love the relationship with my viewers here. So that's that. Stonemont.us down there. You can get them. Won't be able to get them in time for Christmas, but you'll get them, and you'll like them, and you'll learn a lot. So back to this. Now, how would this situation in Colorado perhaps play into this thought that people have that this could lead to a civil war? Okay, this will not lead to a civil war, but this could be simply the next stone in the wall of secession that is being built state by state. You see what's happening down in Texas, that Abbott has signed a bill into law allowing state law enforcement to make arrests for illegal entry into Texas. Okay, the federal government has not been doing what it's supposed to be doing, is not doing what it's constitutionally charged to do. So they have broken their promise. Okay, if you want to think about it as a divorce, just like that war was that they call the Civil War, it is. If a person does not live up to the agreement that they made, the other person can say, it's like any contract, right? Hey, you didn't live up to it, I'm out. Well, Texas has been making moves for that for quite a while. Missouri, a couple of years ago, you might remember, passed a law saying that federal firearms laws would not be enforced in the state of Missouri, and any federal agent found to be attempting to enforce them in the state of Missouri could be arrested. That would be a crime. Now, there was a big mess up in there. I don't think anybody got arrested, and I think that was overturned later. But it shows what's happening in the minds of the states, of certain states. What this could, and so our Colorado situation shows exactly the same thing, that they are trying to, through their state, they are going against, now in a different way, they're going against a federal, or using a federal, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to keep a presidential candidate off a state ballot. So what we're seeing here, and what I'm explaining is, what we are seeing now is conflict between the federal government and states, which used to be sovereign. Not so much anymore since the 14th Amendment, right? Well, we know the discontent that is in our country. We know that, and this is why politics is important. I know a lot of people on this channel don't like politics. They think that it's, useless and all that. Well, it's the difference between national politics and local politics. These things happen because people have not worked hard enough in local politics. But in the states that are standing up against the federal government and federal overreach, it is because of local politics. That's why local politics is so important. It's the power. But when you don't work for the right thing locally, well, that's when, Big Daddy DC comes and stomps on your head. So what this could mean is, no, there won't be a civil war. Let me put it that. There's not going to be any rising up of the people, in my opinion. People live good lives, simple as that. They're comfortable for the most part. Some people are having a hard time, but some people have always had a hard time. And when you're looking at civil war, you have to look at how it affects the majority. And for the most part, the majority are living fine. Nobody's going to rise up here. And I know that this is one of those kind of prepper fantasies. The people are going to rise up. We're not going to stay. I had somebody leave 5 comments the other day. I left them up so everybody could read the comments, which were not the best, let me say that, and read my responses. Sometimes when they're just stupid comments, I take them off because I don't like them to, gum up the works of the comments. But there's this idea, it only takes 1%. How much longer are the American people going to stand that? You just wait. They'll never be able to get this. You've heard them, right? You've heard this on this channel, on other channels. You just bet. You don't know what will happen. You don't have any idea. The country people are going to stand up. The small towns are going to... No, it's not. No, it's not. When have they ever done it? Since the 1700s, when have they done it? So get rid of that pipe dream. It is a pipe dream, not happening. But here's the thing. As we get more states who start to conflict more with the federal government, I think we are leading to the possibility, not probably in the next year or so, but we will see what happens with this next election, right? This next election could make everything change. It doesn't matter which way it goes. It could make everything. And let me say that. It could start lighting a shorter fuse than the one that's already burning. Okay? But we could be headed towards a type of secession and a war between state governments and the federal government. You see, that's what that conflagration back in the 1860s was. It wasn't the people, rising up. It was the states. Each state, through their elected representatives and the state legislatures and governors, said, we're gone. Okay? This agreement that you made with the states, you've violated it, which makes it no longer binding on us. We're out of here. As a result of that, Lincoln called up 70,000 troops from across, he made states send some of their militia and such as that. A lot of them refused. To invade the South and essentially destroy the South. The South is still struggling as a result of that. And if you want a real history lesson on all that and the ridiculous and the lies behind the Emancipation Proclamation and the role of slavery in it and all that, read my books. But it'll surprise you. If you don't know, it'll shock you. Lincoln was not this big hero that everybody seems to think he was. So this, I think, is what's going to happen. This is what could happen. As the overreach and the abuse of of certain states, of the federal government being pushed back by states, and then in situations like this with Colorado, where the states are using, 14th Amendment to keep a national candidate off of, this is what's going to cause it, and it will happen if the people in the states are active enough and push it in the states, because it's the states that will end up seceding. Some people think that will never happen. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but I say, yeah, I will never say that it won't happen. Okay? I mean, we can't say, and you say, well, you're hedging your bets there. Well, it's because you can't see the future. Anybody that comes out and says, this is going to happen, well, they don't know. They're expressing a personal opinion, a wish, a desire, a hope, or something like that, as if it were fact, and you can't do that. We don't know what's going to happen. Should it happen? Yeah, you be the judge, right? So that's what I think is going to happen. If you ask me, is this going to lead to civil war? No. Because I don't think there will ever be a civil war in the United States because of the real definition of a civil war, which I gave before. But a split of the nation, a secession, a repeat of the 1860s, I think that definitely could happen. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think that depending on what happens in the 2024 presidential election, I think that could be the start of it, depending on who wins. Okay, right? Let's just say if we find, if enough states feel that there are, and enough people in those states feel that there are enough irregularities in, I got to be careful how I say this, don't I? But more important to get the information out there, even if I have to kind of blur it around the edges. If enough people of enough states feel that their candidate did not win because of election irregularities, I think that could be the start of it. I think that could be the start of it. And just as it took years and years and years to build up to that 1860s situation, it will take years and years and years to build this up, but it certainly will. The process will be started. The ball will be rolling. The snowball will be gathering speed and size. Okay. So anyway, that's my opinion on that. By the way, I might put that as a question on tomorrow. I don't know. Today, if you're with us on Patreon, by the way, I just put up. There's a cool feature over there now. It's called Chat. It allows people, members of Patreon, to put their thoughts and, and ideas and talk back and forth with each other throughout the day. Each day I come on early in the morning and I put on a question, and it's just kind of guide. I'm interested in what people think, and so I love reading those. Today's question was, have you ever been able to instill an interest of preparedness in someone else or in other people, and if so, how did you do that? Because I know that that's something that a lot of people are interested in, and a lot of people say, well, I can't get anybody interested, and yet other people are successful at it. I've talked about how I'm successful at it, but this is one I wanted to hear from from our members over on Patreon, because it can help others who are trying to do it themselves. So if you're with us over there, make sure that you check the chat every day. It has really become a great element of that program. If you're not with us on Patreon, you should be. We'd love to have you, and you would like it. You get so much out of it because we put so much more on Patreon than we do on YouTube. And the link is down below. Just come over. It's $1 a month. That's all it is, and you'll be glad you did. And remember, my books, they're available. And if you want to learn not just all about preparing and surviving, and a great story. Some people say, well, there's a bunch of love stories in there. Well, yeah, I'm not a romance novel, but a story about people, about rebuilding community, about comparative justice, and about the way that governments should be, about that war back then and why Scalia was all wet, a whole lot of other things. You can get those either through Amazon, which you get them quick, or you can get them through our website, stonemont.us. in which you get them signed by me. So the links are all down below. So that's my opinion on, is this going to lead to civil war? No, but it could lead to the next big thing. And it's going to take a while. And this if an EMP doesn't get us, if a cyber attack doesn't get us, if tornadoes don't, whatever, this is, if the economy doesn't collapse, all of the things that we're worried about. Well, this is the thing. This is the pot on the back of the stove that is starting to simmer, maybe getting to a slow boil. And it's something you should keep your eye on, and it's something that you should prepare for. Okay? You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.